Hello, hello, hello. I am Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic for CherryPicks, and we are having a conversation about all things master. And joining us for that conversation are Miss Zoe Renee, Miss Noah, and soon to join us in that empty seat that you see on the screen will be the director, Mariama Diallo. So I'll go ahead and get started with the ladies, and then Mariama will join us momentarily. How you doing, ladies?
We're doing great. We're happy to be here.
Happy to be here. For
Yeah.
sure.
Y'all having fun in Austin, huh?
A little too much, but
A little too much. We went out last night. Good city.
It's all good. It is all good. So since I've spoken with Zoe previously, I'm gonna start with you, Noah. How did you end up becoming a part of this project?
I got an audition call back when we did things in person, which I love because I love feeling the energy in a room. And meeting Mariama for the first time was the day that we kind of had a chemistry sort of read with the other girls that play Zoe's little friend group at Ancaster. And I think the energy that day was kind of what pushed everyone forward who ended up getting those roles, because we really synced with each other and we created this environment that Mariama was trying to deliver for Zoe's support or lack thereof system in the movie. Yeah.
And I didn't ask you this, Zoe. How did you end up becoming part of this project? And then I also want you to go into what did your mind swirl around like when you read that script?
right. So I did my audition process on tape. So mine was a completely different experience than Noah and the rest of the girls. I did it on tape. It was a little isolated in that way. But I got the script in my email and I saw thriller, I saw horror, and it was the first time that I ever gotten anything like that in my inbox coming from my team. And I opened it up, I started reading, it was late, and then I started reading and I was like, I'm gonna continue this when the sun is up and try it again in the morning. It took me a second to finish it off. I kept getting scared. And then once I did, I was like, I wanna be a part of this project. I need to figure out how I can do it. And luckily we made it happen.
He's like, yes, we did. So, this story is so deep because it's such a deep commentary on race relations and how undercover it's become in recent years. And I just want you both to speak to how your characters dealt with that whole microaggression that can psychologically destroy you from the inside out. I'll start with Zoe this time.
Yeah, Jasmine was not expecting that. There's such an important scene in the movie towards the end where Gail opens up Jasmine's yearbook and you see how many people were just absolutely in love with her. Just you see all of the things that they wrote and the things that they said at the end of the year. And I think it's heartbreaking because you can see that wasn't her experience this time. It was different. And I think with those microaggressions, those completely were opposite of the expectations that she had walking into it. I think you also see the slow decline in her health, her mental health, as it repeatedly happened. And these situations are real. They are uncomfortable, and it's hard to articulate them. It's hard to talk about them. They don't sound like a normal. I don't know, rude interaction. Sometimes they just sound like, I don't know, someone touched my hair. And to some people that would sound like nothing, but it feels weird. It feels awkward. So my earrings stuck. But yeah, so that's I think the journey with Jasmine.
Yeah, I think for Katie, it's more of like an everyday experience for her. It's kind of like it hasn't shifted, and I think she's not clueless to any degree, but she tries to relate to Jasmine's character in almost an offensive way, but to her it doesn't seem like that. So throughout the film, she'll make sort of comparisons to her own life, and yeah, that's so annoying that they did that. Well, they did this to me, when it's like she can't understand to any degree what she's going through. But that's her version of trying not to be a villain and not to be an instigator, which is, it's sad in its own right.
That's a very good point that you bring up, because when someone like Jasmine is experiencing that, to try as her friend to try to comfort her, you're like, well, yeah, this happened to me too. And Jasmine's looking at you like this, like, okay, I'm gonna let you have that one. But it's really different.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about how, especially for you, Zoe, the camera acted as another character that didn't have a voice, but it did in terms of the lens. How, and knowing that, because you had to have known that to inform that character in order to play her effectively, right? How did you find a way to incorporate that just mentally in order to make Jasmine a little more unhinged?
Mariama really helped me with that. I think we talk about it a lot in what we did for preparation and master, making sure that Jasmine's moments were nice and slow, that we could really see her slowly sink into what her reality was, and seeing that it was completely different than what she thought it would be. So I think Mariama really helped us. We had Skype sessions talking about what we wanted to bring to it, and stepping in the first day on set. I think that you can see that, Regina and I had so much that informed what we did. And I'm grateful for that. Mariama really took care of us in that sense.
Good. I spoke with Regina a couple of days ago and I asked her this, and I'm just curious to know what you ladies think about this. There's a line that Regina has in the film where she says, I was never a master, I was the maid. Mm-hmm. And I just want to know for you, I know how Regina interpreted that, but I'm really curious to know how you two young ladies interpret that, because I know just by virtue of where you are in life, it's going to mean something different for you. And I'll start with Noah first.
Oh, the big one for me. No, I think when I heard that line, that was in the script, but I think it hit a little differently when you're watching it, because you're just seeing it all in context, and I had chills all over my body. I think at the beginning, when they say the first Black master, you kind of get uncomfortable and you're like, oh, in what way are we calling this woman a master? And then throughout the movie, you see her kind of picking up everyone's mess and coming to the rescue when nobody else is helping. And I think that represents the kind of feeling of her cleaning up, picking up, instead of kind of giving people, things to do, to being in a higher up position, which is what in the academic field they were supposed to make her be. That's what her role was supposed to be. And it was kind of like fell into this institutionalized hierarchy of roles.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was so interesting because not only is the movie named Master, but I think it's that moment where we literally see, wow, it's so much deeper than just Gail becoming master. This is so much deeper. It makes your heart drop, because you're like, wow, this they really did a number on her. They really did. And I think that word master and how she delivered it, I think is just genius. It's so powerful. It was amazing. That was a really beautiful moment that I loved.
Cool.
Welcome to the stage.
Okay, hey, Mariama. What's going on?
Oh, it's so great to be here. Thank you for your patience.
It is not a problem. I'm happy to see you, and I enjoyed your film. It's a deep one. It is a deep one. But were you finished speaking, Zoe, about that question? I just want to make sure that you finished your thought.
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay, cool. So, all right, Mariama, we're going to get into it, girl. Let me crack my neck.
Let's go.
So I was the one thing I really wanted to talk to you about is there's that commercial that y'all do in the movie at Lancaster with the burning of the cross and the two Black women trying to put it out. Why did you? It's a very powerful statement for a variety of reasons, but I just want to know from your own words, why did you feel that it was necessary to put it in there in that manner, in the form of a commercial?
Right, that That scene, sort of the promotional video of the school, it's one of my favorite moments of the film. And to me, it really gets to the heart of the sort of self-serving hypocrisy of those kinds of institutions and the very, flabby gestures towards progress that they try to make. And it's something that is so familiar to me. I feel like I've seen a billion versions of that video. And so I really wanted to bring it in to the film and kind of rupture the narrative a little bit. So have it, almost this product that exists from the world of the film enter into the narrative in a sort of surprising way. And it was a little bit of a risky choice, I think, because obviously it's not expected and it's coming at this very, intense emotional moment. But for me, the juxtaposition of, the extreme, terror that Jasmine and Gail are enduring, to flip to this very glossy, very produced, very fake video just was the clearest way that I could make my point.
It was deep, and you made a point. I tell you that much. You made a point enough for me to go, okay, I have to ask her about this. I also want to know, how did you first encounter the idea for this film, Master? Because I'm sure it's come from a very deep psychological place.
It does, yeah. It's a very personal story for me. And a lot of, the characters, the character of Jasmine and Gail are informed by myself and my own experience. And the inspiration is that I went to a school where there were masters. I had a master, and I ran into him one day a few years after graduating, and I greeted him by name, starting with master. And it was a very strange and jarring moment, but it only hit me then, sort of few years after graduating, with a little bit of the distance of time and location, that's such a bizarre and perverse sort of, title and name to give somebody. And I just started thinking about my past at that school, and the character of Gail came to me pretty early, and then everything kind of snowballed from there.
Ooh, girl, that's a lot. You must have been like taking notes furiously, going, I'm gonna make this into a movie one day. I'll fix you.
Exactly like that. I mean, I remember walking home, and my head was just buzzing with all of these different thoughts, and I was thinking, I'm gonna write a film about this.
Well, I'm taking from your inspiration and writing down some of my experiences, so I can make me a feature film.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I spoke with the young ladies about this before you came on camera, and I just want to get your thought process about it. I know that the camera in this film acts as an additional character. It's kind of an unseen menace, so to speak. And I just wanted to know how you and Charlotte collaborated on how to make that work effectively throughout the film.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that was so important to me was that the school, that Ancaster is kind of embodied as a character within the film, because I think that in a lot of ways the primary antagonist is really Ancaster itself. And so Charlotte and I had a lot of conversations about how we could represent that cinematically. And a lot of the choices that we made in terms of the framing and the slow zooms and the photography in general was to bring in the presence of the school and the sense that you can have as a viewer that the characters are being observed and being stalked by a very steady, very patient kind of menace.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that struck me with the camera and the lighting in particular is that every time there was a difficult moment for Jasmine, those red lights would appear. She'd be walking through some form of a red light. Like when I spoke to Zoe earlier, that scarlet letter kind of thing. It's like the red light kind of represented the scarlet letter for her. And I kind of loved how that was very understated, but yet you got it. So snaps and claps to you for that, Mama, because that was really good. I love that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. So in closing it out, I'm going to say something that is a line from the film, and I want you all to have commentary on it. There's a line that says, not a line, but there's something to the effect of, just because you don't see something doesn't mean it's not there.
Yes.
And for each one of you, I want you to talk about what that means for you. I'll start with Noah first.
I thought that line held the most relevance in the scene where Zoe's in the hospital, and this is outside of this bubble that we're in the whole film, where we're like, oh, okay, this is a movie about this, and it's going to be really, really in our faces. But then you're like, wait, it's also where we see safety, and a hospital is specifically a place where you're supposed to be like getting better and safe and comfortable. And she was just fell out of a window, and she looks to the right of her, and there's another woman that's out to get her, and that's there. And I think that really speaks to society just being very blind to this overlooming racism that's just everywhere, and you have to look to see it sometimes, and you don't want to always, and when you don't want to see something, you don't, but sometimes it's just there and you can't avoid it.
Absolutely. Mariama?
Yeah, I think that was so beautifully put, Noah. It's that line. I'm glad that you put a focus on that, because I think that so much of the film is discussing that, and you can apply that lens in a lot of different ways throughout the film. And it's also a moment for me of a little bit of delicious irony as far as Liv's character is concerned, because she is also a person, who has so much more than meets the eye. Mm-hmm. And then, like Noah said, it's you can also think about that line in terms of what people are willing to acknowledge or not acknowledge, and also in terms of ghosts. You can also think about it that way. I think that it's a very multifaceted statement, and a lot of the film is about what characters are willing to look at and what they are also trying to force themselves to ignore.
Right.
Absolutely. Zoe, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I think about the development of Jasmine, and that line alone, when I was reading the script at first, it brought what was so terrifying, to Jasmine. Like it brought it front and center for me. It's that she cannot see she doesn't know where it is. She can't touch it. She can't fight it. She can't call her mom about it. Like she doesn't know where it is. And I think that's the hardest part. That's the part that frustrates her. It's the part that makes her think that maybe she could fix it if she just kind of tries to master it. It's such an interesting line, because we hear it coming from Liv, and it has so much weight behind it. But I do think about the development of Jasmine, and I think about that line, and I think it totally encompasses what Master is about.
I do too. And that's why I asked that question last, because I just wanted to give it a nice, full rounded closing before we close out this conversation about Master. Thank you, Noa Fisher. Thank you, Zoe Renee. Thank you, Mariama Diallo. Master is going to be on Amazon Prime Video beginning on March 18th. Please do yourselves a favor and check it out. It's going to trigger you. I'm not going to lie. It is. It's going to trigger you, but it will make you think. And good cinema always does that. It makes you think. I'm Carla Renata, AKA the Curvy Critic, here for Cherry Picks. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation revolved around Master, and we will see you next time.